God's garden oasis, where every bloom is perfect. God sees us not just as we are, but as we will be. God's garden oasis, where every bloom is perfect. God sees us not just as we are, but as we will be.
Our environment. We hear a lot today about our environment. We hear about how we need to take care of our environment and how our environment is slowly being damaged by how we live, and carelessness and garbage and all sorts of things. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about what does God say about our environment and our purpose or role in that. I'm Nancy Hammond, and this is God's Garden Oasis. You know, our environment is our surrounding, our conditions, our influences. It also includes people and cultural forces and our spiritual environment. And so I think when we think about environment, it's not just where we live or the area around us, but it's the people that surround us, and it is just kind of where we choose to be. In Genesis 2:15, it's the very beginning, and it talks about Adam and Eve being put in the Garden of Eden. And their job was to work there. Now, work wasn't something that was just hard and they grumbled. They didn't do that. That was a joy for them to maintain that beautiful location, that environment that God had given to them. In Numbers chapter 35, verses 33 and 34, it says, "You shall not pollute the land in which you live." God dwells in the midst of his people. So God is around us here, and our environment is important. In Psalm 23, verse 2, it says, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters." Green pastures, still waters, it just makes me just kind of go, oh, when I think about that, and I think about the beauty of a pasture and a creek or a little stream running through it. And then in Psalm 107, verses 33 and 34, it says, "We are the stewards, but that God has ultimate control over the environment." And we know that he does, even though Satan is ruling here on earth, and this is kind of his place that he gets to be, God's plan will ultimately come through. Our reading for today is, "Moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found trustworthy." Ooh, that's really a tall order. I have to be trustworthy of taking care of my environment. The more that I take care of it, the better care I take of my world and my environment, the more God will give me to do. And I do want to honor God with how I live and how I work in this environment. So I want to think about that. I also want to think about the people that I have in my environment. I am to reach out to the poor and to the needy, but I also need to make sure that I stay and have good quality time. I also want to make sure that I spend quality time with people around me who are believers, who will strengthen me and sustain me in my walk. So my environment needs to be kind of twofold, that I have to go out into the world. I do have to be telling others about Jesus Christ, but I also want to make sure that I'm not just in the world and then sinking into those kind of worldly habits, that I remember that I am a daughter of the King. Are you a good steward of the earth? What is your environment like? You know, you don't have to live in a palace or even a super fancy house, but do you take care of the world around you? Think about that. And if there's something that you think you could improve on, put some effort into it and then see how you're feeling. I'm Nancy Hammond. Have a great day.